Sphero spins off a new company to make robots for police and military use. So Sphero is, oops, no, switch slides by accident. Sphero is the company behind the Star Wars BB-8 toy robot, which some of you may have seen. It was super popular a few Christmases ago, a few holidays ago. Turns out that building those toy robots are not as lucrative as you may think, according to the company. So they've now moved into commercializing both the robots and AI software to go with them for first responders, government and defense, basically anyone who works in dangerous situations. Yeah, so question to you all. Are there jobs and tasks that should not be automated and continue to rely on human instinct and skill? I mean, today is June 3rd and there's protests happening all over the country. This slide was picked before these protests happened. So, I mean, obviously we're in a different context now, and maybe different opinions on the use of robots versus humans who actually may not have great instincts in some of the tougher moments. Would be curious to hear your thoughts.
I don't know. Sometimes remember, I just read Malcolm Gladwell talking to strangers, and he talked about we don't really have that great of an instinct on reading a lot of, strangers, just with judges when they determine giving sentencing. So I don't really feel like robots are that different, but it is kind of scary to think like robots can't pick up on tone of how somebody's delivering something with the emotion behind it. I mean, at least it doesn't feel like with Sphero. So that's kind of scary. I feel like that's kind of scary. But if it's just going in for first responders, they're helping. But it depends on didn't they have one called Spot, and he was helping out with social distancing?
Yeah, we talked about that last episode. He was going around parks in Singapore and just like announcing to people to remind them to keep socially distant.
Yeah, I just find it would be kind of scary for robots to be used in military or police tactics, I think.
AJ, Jawhara, thoughts?
Yeah, are there jobs that shouldn't be automated? Like, I would probably say yes to Sarah's point on like, I want a human judge. I don't want like a robot judge. But then again, I also don't think like if I'm a first responder, if robots can like dig through rubble and find people better, or can go into like hostile situations and they get shot up, I'd rather have a robot do that than other people.
Yeah, I think I agree, AJ. Like, I think, it kind of depends on the context, right? I think at the end of the day, these robots, machines are trained by humans, right? And so these AI machine learning models are created by humans. So it's like kind of almost like, how different is it really? So I think, the case of like, if you're digging through rubble, like, yes, that's amazing. You can get to people. But if it's like, in the case of like police or military force, it's like, I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make. And I don't necessarily know if like one is better than the other. So I think this one's really, really tough.
I do think the name Sphero is really cute for a robot uprising, though. It's not as intimidating as, T2 or Terminator.
It is going to be ironic if 10 years from now they're successful and they started out as that cute toy company. And
oh my God.
coming down.
Says Sarah, they've actually given the new company a different name. It's called Company 6, which does have more of that like military name. And AJ, I think it's
also like an evil number. Like, why would they name it Company 6?
I don't know. It would be extra ironic though if they turned into like these robots turned into like oppressive future military robots, and they started from like the cute Star Wars BB-8 toy. The dystopian switch of companies, quite the pivot. I guess one concern today is, in today's climate, people are talking about how well armed the police forces are, and the presence of military in cities is aggressive. Do we worry that this is taking us more towards, where a robotic army could take us more towards like a Terminator Skynet type situation where we've got like crazy robotic police forces just policing the world? Like, are we moving in a direction that we're not aware of the consequences of?
I definitely, yeah. Oh, sorry, AJ, go first.
No, you're up, Sarah.
I just feel like it's kind of weird to start off as a toy company and then they move into police and military tactics. And it's obviously because of money, because those contracts pay a lot better, no matter what. That it also, and then when you put some, as Jawhara was talking about being programmed by police, you don't know what the, whoever did it, you don't know what their intent is, that it takes away some of the personnel or whatever, the human contact that you need, I think.
Yeah. So I went to the protest in Austin, downtown Austin last night with some friends, and like looking at the police force, they have like assault weapons, body armor, or like bulletproof vests. They have all this like technology already on them that if I had showed up wearing the same thing, like you'd be arrested. And I think that's crazy. And I think I don't know. I think it's probably inevitable in the future that they're like using robots, but I do think that there is it'd be crazy if you went and protested and it's a bunch of robots like behind a fence. But
Yeah.
if that happened. But then again, from the police perspective, they're probably like, well, we'd actually rather have like the lowest risk of well, actually, people make stupid decisions as seen with everything that's going on. And I don't know, maybe robots will make better decisions or never use lethal force when they shouldn't use lethal force. So I don't know, I think I can go either way on it, but I think it's probably inevitable that technology is going to increase, and it's the future is going to look more like Skynet than it looks like 50 years ago.
Yeah.
Jawhara, any final thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I think all I can think of, right, was reading this headline. I'm like, all right, there's typically a certain type of person who trains models like this, and it's the same issue we have in just like basic AI when it comes to like face recognition, not really picking up brown and black bodies, and then like things like literally like automated is not being for sometimes people's hands. So it makes me a little bit worried that these are the same folks who are now training militarized robots. And so I think like, yeah, like I would love to think of the world, take the emotion out of it, that would help to kind of lessen force, right, and assault. But I tend to think like, again, it really, robots are just a proxy of like already existing human nature and like kind of systems. So it kind of makes me a little bit nervous.
We'll move on to something more light. We'll move on to the last cartoon of the day. Cartoonist, you got something funny for us?
Yeah. Can you guys see it? We'll start with the light one.
Yeah, these are amazing.
Oh, thank you. All right, number 2. I'll jump to this one. Hesitant police robot.
While we're talking about robots, I go to Japan about once a month for work, and next time anyone's there, everyone should go to Robot Cafe. It was like
I've been twice.
It's incredible, right, Wiz?
So dope.
Show off. I want to go.
I love it.
All right, and then the last one, based on the toy thing you guys were talking about, this is what I imagined.
Oh.
Your police Furbies?
Yeah, they're creepy. They watch you. I can totally imagine. Like, imagine them marching.
Was there ever a version 2 or 3 of Furby? Because I think it was a commercial success, but I feel like they never came out with a new one, or did they? And I just missed it. Maybe I grew up.
I don't think they came out with more Furbies. I think it was only a very specific thing that could only exist at a very specific time.
I think there could be a nostalgia comeback.
My Furby was very well fed. You could press its tongue and it'd be like, yeah.
Stay tuned.